it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here.
David Mackey.
Here.
Jennifer Stout. Here. Additionally, we have Christina Norland. Tyler is not with us tonight. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Everybody is all in favor, all opposed, all abstaining, motion carries. Okay, and then we're going to move on to the resignation of the president.
Good evening to the board. A brief update on our bond project. We are on time and on schedule. As most can see, we completed exterior work, grading, landscaping, topsoil seed and mulching has been done, along with the last couple sections of sidewalk. With the break in the weather last week, we were able to get brick washing, exterior caulking done, roof flashing, so it was a really great thing to have with the inclement weather we had in October. So the only thing remaining on the outside is the permanent new steel pipe hand railings at the new entryways at the steps. And those are being fabricated this week. But we have temporary railings in place, but that is the last component for the exterior work. On the interior work, we completed painting out the locker rooms last week. We are sanding drywall in the office area, the other component of phase 2. This week, we anticipate starting painting in that area on Wednesday. So with both of those painted out, we have ceiling scheduled for the first week in December. And in the locker rooms, we'll follow ceilings with lights, the new lockers, the new epoxy flooring, and then setting of fixtures. In the office area, we'll follow those ceilings the first week in December with the new floor coverings and then doors and hardware. We're still on track for having our final inspections for phase 2, both of those areas, over the holidays. And we're still targeting the first week in January moving into those areas. But of course, all dependent on inspector schedules over the holidays. We have punch list with UP engineers and architects. But we figure that's a good time to take care of some of those areas. We will also be starting roughing in the bathrooms for phase 3 over the Christmas holidays.
Can I interrupt for one minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Someone just said there's no sound. Someone texted me that there's no sound.
Okay.
Right?
Looking into it. You're also on a delay, so.
Are they seeing it? Do you know? Amy Johnson.
I suggest you just keep going
Okay.
until we can figure it out.
So we're still targeting phase 2,
Because
like I said.
there at least needs to be sound to figure it out. Right? So you're going to have to talk. Someone will.
Exactly. For the first week in January, the first full week. And contractors are looking about 8 to 10 weeks to complete phase 3. So we're hoping by March to have the construction proper completed. And during that period, we of course will be continuing to replace light fixtures with all brand new LED. We have a number of those fixtures already in place. In additions, renovations, and in the wood shop below us, we've already replaced those fixtures. On the boiler replacement, a few of the boilers have already showed up at Air Care and Houghton in their warehouse. We're just waiting for the last couple boilers to come in, and boiler trim, components, circulating pumps, and control packages are still en route. lockers stored in the bus garage, along with all the plumbing fixtures for the locker rooms. So we're cautiously optimistic about wrapping things up here this way. Any questions from the board?
Lots of nice progress. It's looking great. I love the parking lot.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along. Now we're about to send COVID-19 learning plan check-in. Okay. As I told you last month, every month we're required to check in on our extended COVID-19 learning plan and to review the kinds of instruction that we're going to be offering and to report on the percent of students who were engaged, which is defined as having two-way contacts per week in the previous month. And so for elementary, K to 5, I believe that we do plan to have in-person learning to continue as long as possible. Virtual learning will continue through the remainder of the first trimester only. Online learning will continue for the remainder of the school year. Remote learning will resume if authorities close schools, of course. At the middle school level, actually middle school, high school level, we have in-person learning continuing as long as possible, virtual learning continuing through trimester 1, online learning continuing, and for those who are quarantined, we will have distance learning, and that may be available to other students as well, not official or decided yet, and remote learning will resume, of course, if authorities close schools. And as you know, authorities did close schools for 9 to 12 starting on Wednesday. And so we will have remote learning in place for high schoolers following the plan that we came up with before school started for Wednesday and then the next 3 weeks. And what the state really is interested in, I am finding out as I have had to report this then on the state websites, is whether we will be offering hybrid learning, and that is defined as having part of the week of learning in person and part of the week of learning remote. And our school does not have any plans to do that at this time. I have heard one local school has considered it. Nobody's made any decisions that way at this point. So that is our instructional delivery update. And as for the previous month, we actually continued with some very, very strong engagement. Week 1, which was the second week of the 2-week closure by the health department, we had 94% of students engaged. The next week of October was 99%, week 3, 98, and week 4, 96. So very, very strong engagement rates, considering some of our students are here and some of them are actually never here in the building. All right, any questions on that?
Nice.
We skipped over the public comment because nobody had indicated that they wanted to make public comment on the extended continuity of learning plan.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
So now we're going to move on to public comment. Please understand that the board will not respond to questions or statements at this time. According to board policy, public comment is limited to 5 minutes per person. First of all, we have Holly.
Hi, Holly, this is Christina. Are you ready to make a public comment? Okay, okay. We did not know that. Let me put you on speakerphone and then you can ask.
Okay.
Is it just a question right now, or is it a comment on the extended continuity of learning plan? Or are you making public comment but it relates? Okay. Yeah, normally it's not a question and answer time, but if I can give you a quick answer, I will.
Said during the board meeting that it had public comment for parents. So
Right, yep. motion to discuss it at this time, but if anybody on the board decides that they would like to discuss it, we most certainly will.
Okay. Is this also the portion where I would make a comment to the board?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, it is time for regular public comment, if you're ready.
Okay. Sorry. Just wanted to say that it's been almost 4 months now, and while all the board members have made some type of comment towards me or attempted to answer my questions, Dallas Bonds has still not made an attempt to contact me or answer my question in any manner. But again, I just want to thank the teachers for their hard work during this next shutdown, and I'm looking for further action by the board to look into doing the hybrid portion, because I don't believe we're at the end of this shutdown. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Is that it, or is there anything else, Holly?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick? All right, good. I was just curious what I'm supposed to be answering. I don't have anything.
Next we have Matt Zimmer.
Hey, Matt, it's Christina. Are you ready to make public comment? Okay, thank you. I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Here we go.
Hi, this is Matt Zimmer. I just wanted to make sure you knew who was speaking. I am speaking tonight to explain from the Dollar Bay Education Association's perspective why we request to bargain the change in working conditions, workload, and safety considerations, and offering a new option 4, to remote learners during trimester 2 and 3 for the 2020-21 school year. As a bit of background, we appreciate the school board's negotiation team's willingness to hear our concerns about the previous option 2. We also appreciate the stipend that is provided to teachers who have this additional workload and stress assigned to traditional teaching assignments. It was made clear to the DBEA negotiation team that at the end of trimester 1, option 2, remote learning, would be eliminated, and the only options going forward would be option 1, traditional in-person instruction, and option 3, a contracted online platform, Edmentum Calvert. During the 2 sessions, the statement, "We have yet to determine how we would meet the needs of remote students beyond Tribe 1," was floated, but when pressed by the DBEA negotiation team, the team was told that this was not the time to discuss that. At the middle school, high school in-service on Friday, November 6th, the introduction of an option 4, distance learning, was presented as a choice for all students to select during trimesters 2 and 3. This discussion was uncomfortable to the faculty present because it involved changing working conditions, changing working loads, safety provisions, and compensation, which are subjects of negotiation. Conducting this negotiation without both teams present and participating is unfair labor practice. As teachers in the DVTT family, we not only understand, but live out the ideal of providing quality education to all of our students. Our concern lies with the tactics utilized to arrive at the possibility of offering option 4 to students for trimesters 2 and 3 and refusing to work with our chosen representatives. These are items that should be bargained by our negotiations team in an appropriate manner due to the expectation of fairness on all sides. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, this is Christina Norland. Are you ready to make your public comment? Okay, thank you. You are just about to be on speakerphone. Here we go.
Thank you. My name is Cindy Barnes, and I currently am not able to stream the meeting. I have it up, but the circle is going round and round. I would like for the school board to consider Zoom for their online meetings. Shortwaves does not have the streaming speed where I live. I've been able to attend Osceola Township monthly meetings in my home. And I would like to know if the school board would consider Zoom for online school board meetings. I realize that you're offering that people can sit in their car on the Chippewa Trail, but I don't really want to do that in the dark in the middle of the cold winter, and would really like for the school board to consider Zoom for online school board meetings because I know it works for me here in Center. Thank you.
Is there any corrections to the minutes? Number one, we have a regular board meeting in October, financial statements for the previous month, checks written team that was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls. Junior high cross country ran several races at separate events from the JV varsity meets due to limits on race sizes. There were limited participants, but they were dedicated and hardworking runners. JV varsity boys and girls cross country teams races were reduced due to the 2-week pause as well. Several of the girls were honored by the conference. First team all conference was Kaylee Davis, second team all conference Taramaki and Kendrick Angus. The boys team was honored as the Copper Country Conference Team of the Year, and several of our boys were also honored by the conference. First team all conference was John Paul Norland, Devin Hill, and Cooper Stout. Second team, Nick Thomas and Amos Norland. And there's no doubt that if the coach is voted on as Coach of the Year, it would be Mr. Matt Zimmer, because he does an amazing job with these student athletes. Volleyball team also had its season shortened due to the pause, and several matches were eliminated due to other teams being in quarantine. Several of the girls were selected to the all-conference team, and Rachel, our new coach, advocated very hard for their places on the all-conference team. So second team all-conference, Maggie Gaunt and Molly Maloya, with an honorable mention to Tatiana Reyes-Loboma. With our football...
Second,
Yes?
I just received a message from a viewer online that they can't hear very well.
Okay.
Would it be possible to move the mic closer?
We can try.
Thank you.
Football co-op with Hancock. The football season was tough on the athletes and coaches due to all the uncertainty. With 3 student athletes on the varsity team and 5 on the junior high team, Connor LeClaire was selected to the 2020 West Pac Football Copper Division All-Conference team. Junior high boys basketball team is currently in the middle of their season. We're sponsoring 2 teams. The 7th grade team consists of 6th and 7th graders, and the 8th grade is a mix of 7th and 8th graders. Mark Halkala is coaching both teams with some assistance from Jesse Cantilla if there's a game conflict. Girls basketball started practice last week with their first game slated for December 1st, although that is not able to happen due to the 3-week shutdown. Boys basketball teams are slated to start this week with their first game on December 7th, but they are also unable to start because the MHSAA has decided to cancel sports for the duration, of course, of the 3-week shutdown, and in fact starting today, not starting on Wednesday. A voucher system is in place for spectators, and we will be using it due to the limitations imposed by the MHSAA and MDHHS. We are limited by a 20% capacity rule, and local schools have also agreed upon even more stringent requirements, which will be revisited this week. So I think that is it for athletics. And on to another topic. Teacher and support staff COVID-19 hazard pay grants, you might have heard about this, it's quite the hot topic these days, are to be issued, and that is payments of $500 per teacher and $250 per support staff member. Prior to the issuance of executive, this is what the teachers and support staff have to verify if they would like to apply for these hazard pay grants to address their work last spring. They had to perform at least 75% of their instructional workload in a brick and mortar classroom at a district or non-public school, at a public district or non-public school. After issuance of Executive Order 2020-35, they had to have developed tools and methods to deliver distance learning, take-home packets, or other methods described in the district or non-public schools continuity of learning plan, and they have to verify that they worked additional time spent outside of normal working hours, experienced hazardous conditions, or incurred additional costs related to ensuring students could effectively participate in the school's continuity of learning plan. If they believe that they meet all 3 of those requirements, they are able to apply for the hazard pay grant, and then the district will send those applications on to the state, and people will receive those payments, hopefully. Trimester 1 is at its end next week, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and trimester 2 will begin the Monday after Thanksgiving. The first week and a half of Tri 2 will be remote for 9th through 12th grade students. The band and choir concert was scheduled for December 9th, and we are still deciding what to do about this, being that we will be closed for the 3 weeks prior. There's good news on the Judula House on Hellman Avenue, and that is that we did receive an offer. We counter-offered and received another counter-offer back that was accepted, so we are moving forward to sell the Hellman Avenue Judula House, and we're very happy about that. And our real estate agent, Adam Tybolkowski, believes that it is a great price for the home, being that it is a whole house. As a whole house, it needs some work, certainly. In addition, there is no requirement for additional inspections, and the buyer will take the house as is, and so that is good news, and we're really happy to be moving forward with that. Very grateful to Carol Judula for the donation of this house a few years back. And finally, some very important and very sad news for the district, and that is that Jesse Kentala, who has been with us for many years and a huge part of the school since he was just a child, is going to be moving on to a different position as the Hancock Middle School principal, as they are in the midst of a transition of their own. So we will be working to figure out how to address the gap that will be left by Jesse leaving us, and we do wish him well and are indebted to him for some amazing work. A lot of it right there out in the open, making history with our boys basketball team, but not to mention the unsung things that he's done. He's an incredible English teacher. He is a top quality guidance counselor. He's got a great heart and really great ideas, and will be sorely, sorely missed. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Christina. We're going to move on to action and discussion items. We have a recommendation to approve the stipend for teachers of virtual learners during try 1 of $150 for the first student per period, $200 2 students, $300 3 students, and so on. Do we have a motion? And I'll make that motion. Do we have a second? And do we have a discussion on it?
Funding of this is through the
It is through one of the grants that we get through the state for dealing with COVID. Tyler and I spent some time last week looking at all the different grant sources that we have, and there is money there. We haven't determined exactly the best place because there are different stipulations attached to the different grants, but it will be able to be covered through one of those.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstained? Motion carries. Okay. We have a recommendation to approve moving to 1 full day per week support by our MC Tech with the additional cost of $5,177 starting December to address additional technology needs related to COVID-19 and the acquisition of new Chromebooks. Do we have a
I'll make that
motion?
motion.
Dallas made it, okay. And do we have support? I will. Okay. And do we have
Was that
discussion?
Jen? Did Jen get that one? Okay.
Any discussion on this?
I can tell you a little bit more about it. When I first got here, it was a recent change that our MC support had been reduced from 1 full day to a half day a week, and people felt the pain of that at first, so I was just around for hearing a little bit about that from teachers and staff. As time went on, we figured out how to make it work, and a lot more calls to the REMC phone help were made, and we figured out how to make it work. But this fall, it has not worked because we have a lot of techniques related to COVID, remote learning. We're getting more Chromebooks, which we were desperate to have, and we managed to find some from once used. And finally, when one of the vendors was able to stock and distribute Chromebooks again, we jumped on that opportunity. We're going to be getting new machines, but there isn't enough time right now for him even to manage what we've got. For example, it took about 3 times longer than I expected to get all of the Chromebooks, just one cart full from once, enrolled and licensed and ready to use, because he just doesn't have time physically to get it done. So I strongly recommend this change, especially starting here in December. It doesn't cost us that much. I do imagine the number of machines that we have anytime soon, I don't think.
Okay, Judy, say all in favor yet?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, we move on to C, policy. We have a recommendation to approve fall Neola update, volume 35, number 1. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Support? Is there discussion on this policy? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Moving on to personnel. We have a recommendation to approve the hire of Hannah
Skip
Jack.
one.
I'm sorry.
You skipped an
Okay.
agenda item.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Dave. We have a recommendation to approve DBTC temporary remote work policy for compliance with MINOSHA October 2020 requirement. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have support?
Support that one.
Any discussion on this one?
And Christine, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, MIOSHA came out in October with some new requirements, workplace requirements that all workplaces need to adopt. And one thing that includes is a remote work policy. This requirement by MIOSHA says that all places of work have to have such a policy. The one that I'm recommending is from True Law Firm. I believe the other schools in the UP are using the same one. And it just says the parameters. When can people be doing their job remotely, and when do they need to come to school in person? I do believe that if there's any question at any time about any of this, we're going to be verifying with Troon or Michigan Association of School Boards the best practice for whatever the shutdown is or whatever the particular event is. Oftentimes that happens through the support of the ISD, and the ISD will contact somebody and then we'll share the recommendations with local schools. But we do need to have a policy, and so I'm recommending the one that comes straight from Troon.
Does this become part of our manual or?
Yeah, it will get added to the Neola policies by Danielle.
Any further discussion on it? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, now moving on to personnel. Recommendation to approve the hire of Hannah Jackman as food service assistant to be paid the rate of $13 per hour. Do we have a motion?
Move.
I'll support.
Is there discussion? Did you want to?
Sure, I can share a little bit. Last week we heard from Terry, who had been our new food service person, that she was going to be pursuing a different job offer that she had been given. And so it was time to start looking for a new food service assistant. And Hannah applied through Indeed, and she is the Lake Linden girl, graduated there a few years ago. It so happened that Judy, our food service director, said, "This is the girl, I think it is. I employed her big sister at a previous job," and it turned out to be her. And so Judy had a little bit of familiarity with the family, had a great experience with the sister. I also called for a recommendation from somebody I knew Hannah, that had really, really positive things to say. Great worker, really positive, gets the job done. She's excited to have the opportunity to work in the kitchen. She likes this kind of work. She's got some experience at Canal View as well as McDonald's, and both of them are actually really valuable because you understand what it is to hop to it and get to work in the kitchen. So Judy and I are both really excited about hiring Hannah.
Great. Any further discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Moving on to number 2. Recommendation to approve the hire of Gabe Olson as JV girls basketball coach to be paid according to Schedule B. Do we have a motion for Gabe?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll support.
Who got the motion that time? Jen?
Who hasn't had one in a while?
So Jen with Dallas supporting?
Sure. Okay. Did you want to?
Yeah, and I think everybody here is familiar with Gabe. Sarah Moylan, and the athletic director, did share her recommendations for Gabe and the next candidate. She said that I recommend that Mr. Gabe Olson be hired as JV girls basketball coach. Gabe volunteered with the team last year and has a great handle on the system the team runs. His positive coaching philosophy, along with his drive to push the girls to keep improving, will make him a great addition to the basketball coaching staff.
recommendation to hire one building sub.
You skipped one
Yeah,
again.
skip another one. Recommendation to support the hire Brendan LeClaire as elementary boys basketball coach to be paid according to Schedule B.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll support that.
I'll share Sarah's recommendation again. I recommend that Brendan be hired as the boys' elementary basketball coach. Brendan will bring a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the program that he knows very well. He has been a role model to many of our young athletes and will be a great asset to the program.
Great. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstained?
I abstain due to the fact that Brendan is my son.
Steve abstains. Motion carries. Okay. Then recommendation to hire one building sub COVID-19 compliance officer to be paid at the new rate for DBTC substitute teachers of $111 a day for the remainder of the school year. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And do we have support?
I'll support.
No.
No.
Okay, we're giving that one to Dallas.
Did you want to discuss?
Yeah, if you look in your board packet to the page that is a spreadsheet, a little yellow on the right. The top of that spreadsheet shows the cost estimate. $111 a day is what the board agreed to begin to pay substitute teachers so that we would again be competitive with neighboring districts, hopefully have a little bit of an edge over a couple of them. That equals an hourly rate of $14.80. The requirement to become a substitute teacher in Michigan is at least 60 successful college credits or an associate's degree. And so there is a little bit more of an educational requirement for this position. With all of the other expenses that we have to add on top, the hourly rate to the district becomes $20.09. And the time in session, if we were to find such a person and hire them from January through June, assuming we were in session all of those days scheduled, the cost of the district would be $15,821. So it's another expense that we could pay at least part of out of the COVID grants that we've gotten. What Tyler and I discussed is that we would have to pay the person for her or his non-subbing days and hours when they were doing the COVID compliance job through the COVID funds, whichever source we found most appropriate, possibly coronavirus relief funds. And the days that they were in the building as a substitute, or hours or half days or whatever, they would just be paid from the general fund because, of course, we need substitute teachers anyway, and that would be the same expense for that. Slightly more because of the FICA retirement cost that the district incurs than we do if we use WillSub, our third-party contractor, but not too much more. And as I mentioned to you last week, this last month, this would be very helpful because we would always have at least one person who we knew would be available for subbing. The teachers have been called upon a lot this year to sub for one another because we often have not had enough subs, and that is a problem in a year when they're already stressed. As you can see from the information below that Jennifer Strand, our sub-contact person, came up with for us, we use subs quite a bit, going back to 2017. October required 71 days, that's a lot. The next year, October 28, and then the high that year way down in May, 67. And then 2019, of course, just part of the year, a little bit less than the other years, but quite a few days of the month when we need subs. And what happens a lot is that we just need somebody for one period here and there, and you can't get a substitute to come in just for one period. Nobody would do that. It wouldn't be worth their time. And then that's when our teachers are ending up being exhausted by covering for one another for those reasons. So I think it would be a good thing to do for this year, especially when we've got some ability to cover that extra part when they might not be subbing. But it is, of course, up to you. Can I answer any questions for you?
How many days off does a teacher get?
Like three personal days, but if they didn't use up all of theirs that they had accrued the previous year, they can have up to 5 to start the year. And then sick days accrue over time. And so our most senior teachers have many, many, many weeks of sick days. If newer teachers have fewer. It's, I think, 12 a year that they're granted, maybe 10. Can't think right now, it's in the contract. And it's divided by period, so it's 5 units of sick time per day that every teacher gets. So, yeah.
Subs are also needed when teachers are coaches and they have to leave early or whatever the case might be, I'm sure.
That's absolutely true too.
Yeah, it's hard to get them, that's great.
Well, right.
So,
And that's the thing, is we're going to post for this, and I've contacted somebody at NMU just asking, do you know if any of your students might be interested in something like this? It would be a really great opportunity for somebody just coming out of their college for education and, maybe not quite ready to have a classroom of their own or not getting hired, but, obviously just knowing that the board would be discussing whether they threw a question out there, but we might not find anybody. We can ask, but we're looking for somebody who is willing to cover classes, kindergarten through 12th grade, any day of the week, and it's a special person who wants to do that. So we will see. If you like to approve it, then we will put it out there and see if we can get anybody anyway. And if you wouldn't, then that's okay too. We'll just try to limp along. But we have already had issues with subs, and that is the reason that local schools have already had to close down this year, just as I mentioned to you would probably happen a couple months ago.
it's great someone will be funded.
I think there's nothing to be lost by trying this, so I'd make the motion that we pursue this opportunity.
That's important. And do we have any more?
I think we already had Dave,
I thought we
Dave,
did.
and then Dallas.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, that's it. So do we have any more discussion on it? Anyone at all? Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, so now we're moving down to finance. We have a recommendation to approve the sale of the district-owned house at 23248 Hellman Ave, Dollar Bay for $12,000 with closing set for November 9th.
$32,000.
Oh, sorry. 32,000, yeah. With closing set for November 19th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
And is there discussion on it?
Based on what I read there in the contract, it's as is, right? There's nothing, we have to do anything that's,
Correct.
Any more discussion on it? Anyone? Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay. So we have a recommendation to increase the pay of Danielle Sile, District Secretary, by 30 cents an hour at a cost of approximately $500. In recognition of her not receiving the 30-cent hour increase in pay afforded to other support staff members in their first 5 years after she was employed by the district more than 7 months of the year. So, do we have a recommendation?
I'll make that recommendation.
And I'll support that. And do we have discussion on it at all? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. And then moving on to recommendation to enter closed session to discuss negotiations regarding a collective bargaining agreement and consider the periodic evaluation of an employee. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All right. Favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Now we will leave the video run, and then we'll return to this space after the closed session so that it's clear to everybody that the board is in compliance, and if we were to make any decisions after our closed session, that would be done in public session as required. So we can head out to room out there, and then the camera's going to continue.